Life as We Knew It, Chapter 15, page 235. Now, the only natural light in the sunroom comes from the skylights. Not that there's been much sunlight lately, but the room is a lot darker. Then, just in case I wasn't miserable enough, they blocked off the window over the kitchen sink. So now the only natural light in the kitchen is what comes from the skylights in the sunroom through the kitchen sunroom door. In other words, just about none. Are you blocking off the living room windows too? I asked. No reason to, Matt said. Once we stop using heat, we'll close off the living room. But we still might use the kitchen. I'm so angry I could scream. For starters, I'm sure Matt got the plywood from the gang I saw in town, and I hate that he didn't tell me he was going to. No discussion. He knew what was best, and he just went ahead and did it. Okay, he talked to Mom about it, but I wasn't consulted. And he doesn't understand what it's like to be cooped up in this house all day long. The only time I get out is when I visit Mrs. Nesbit, and that's just a short walk there and back. I know Matt and John have it harder than me. Mom eats so little, and he's doing physical work. When he comes in, he's exhausted. The other day, he fell asleep during supper. But he didn't have to cover the kitchen window. Not yet, anyway. He could have waited until we ran out of oil. He didn't care what it would mean to me. He never even asked. I'd move into Mrs. Nesbit's, but I can't leave Mom. Sometimes I think about how things used to be. I'd never been any place, not really. Florida once, and Boston and New York City, and Washington and Montreal, and that was it. I dream of Paris, of London, of Tokyo. I wanted to go to South America, to Africa. I always assumed I would someday. But my world keeps getting smaller and smaller. No school, no pond, no town, no bedroom. Now I don't even have the view out the windows. I feel myself shriveling along with my world, getting smaller and harder. I'm turning into a rock, and in some ways that's good, because rocks last forever. But if this is how I'm going to last forever, then I don't want to. November 5th. I was in the kitchen washing out Mom's bedpan when the water stopped running. I turned on the faucets in the downstairs bathroom, and nothing came out. I went upstairs and checked that bathroom. Nothing. I waited until Matt came in before telling him. For a moment, he got mad at me. You should have told me right away, he yelled. If the pipes are frozen, I might have been able to do something. But I know it's not because the pipes are frozen. It's because the wells run dry. We haven't had any rain since July. No matter how careful we've been with the water, it was bound to run out eventually. Matt and I walked over to the well to check it out. Of course, I was right. When we came in, John was sitting with Mom in the sunroom, so we joined them. How long can we survive without water? He asked. It's not that bad, Matt said. We still have bottled water and soda to drink. No more laundry, I guess. And Miranda will just have to share a bedpan with Mom. He grinned like that was some kind of joke. We don't have that much bottled water, John said. What if it never rains again? We'll get some snow before too long, Matt said, but in the meantime we can cut some chunks of ice from Miller's Pond. We'll boil it and hope for the best. Isn't there someplace else we could get ice? I asked. How about your little friends in the black market? They're not my little friends, and they don't have any water or ice, Matt said, or if they do, they're not selling it. If you can think of someplace closer than the pond, great, but that's the best I can come up with. I thought about Brandon skating on the pond. I told myself it had never really happened, so it didn't matter. Since there's no water left, there's no reason to keep the heat on, Matt continued. We might as well conserve the oil and move into the sunroom. No, I shouted, I won't. Why not? John asked, and I could tell he was genuinely surprised. It's warm in here. Even with the furnace on, it's cold in the house. Why not move? I spend a lot of time in the kitchen, I said, not just sleeping, and it's bad enough now. I'll freeze to death if we turn the heat off. Is that what you want? You want me to freeze to death? You won't be spending any more time in the kitchen, Matt said, except to get stuff out of the pantry. We don't cook in there anymore, or eat in there, and now you won't be doing any washing in there. If something happens to the firewood and we don't have any heating oil left, we'll freeze to death. It's better to keep some in reserve. What difference does it make, I said. We're never going to make it through the winter. It's November and already we're out of water, and the temperature is below zero, and there's no way of getting more food. We're dying in increments, Matt. You know it, we all know it. Maybe we are, Mom said, and I was almost startled to hear her speak. She'd been talking a lot less since she hurt her ankle again, and she's really cut down on her rah-rah speeches. But as long as we don't know what the future is going to bring us, we owe it to ourselves to keep living. Things could get better. Somewhere people are working on solutions to all this. They have to be. It's what people do. And our solution is to stay alive one day at a time. Everyone dies in increments, Miranda. Every day we're one day closer to death. But there's no reason to rush into it. I intend to stay alive as long as I possibly can, and I expect the same from you. The only sensible thing to do is for all of us to stay in the sunroom. Not tonight, I said. Please, not tonight. Tomorrow morning, Mom said. We'll bring the mattresses in then. It'll be okay, Matt said to me. In some ways, it'll be better. You won't be the only one responsible for the fire. We can take turns stoking it. You'll sleep better. Yeah, said John. You'll have it easy, Miranda. You won't even have any housework to do. So tonight is my last night alone, and my world has gotten even smaller.